I just left the doctor's office. I went to get a checkup because I've been off of Ozempic for 2 months now, and I just wanted to see if my body was in better condition, if there were any permanent damages. Kind of in shock right now because I wasn't expecting this, but I guess Ozempic can cause bone density loss, and I didn't think that that would happen to me because I was only on it for a year. But I have significant bone loss. I have osteoporosis and osteopenia, so that I don't know, there's like several of them that I have. I wasn't expecting that, but that's what happens if you use Ozempic for weight loss and you lose too much weight.
Today we're talking about Ozempic, GLP-1 medications, weight loss injections, side effects, rebound weight gain, and the part of this trend that does not always make it into the before and after videos. Because yes, these medications can be life-changing for some people. But these stories also show the other side: nausea, hair loss, muscle loss, stomach issues, gallbladder scares, anxiety, food noise coming back, and the fear of what happens when people stop taking them.
If you're on a GLP-1, this is the part that nobody tells you. So GLP-1s are super, super effective. And it's not like the meds didn't work or anything like that, but mainly because it changes your appetite, not your identity and habits. So most people regain the weight back. So what happens is most people never build the lifestyle or habits that they need to sustain their weight loss. They just rented results. So when the tools disappear and the meds go away, their old habits and their old ways take over. So these people either have to stay on the meds long term or they're going to rebound after the weight comes off. Now, the problem isn't the GLP-1. The problem is that you never built a lifestyle of strength training and walking more and sleeping better and eating high protein and fixing your relationship with food. Because without the right habits in place, there's going to be a high chance you will gain the weight right back after you lose it.
All right, my GLP-1 people, what are you guys doing for hair loss? What are we doing? I have been on a GLP-1 for a little over 12 months. I very recently started realizing that my hair was coming out in clumps. You know, my entire journey, I focused on my water, my protein, making sure that I was eating enough, but I'm still losing my hair. It's just the harsh reality of rapid weight loss, and I've lost 120 pounds in a year. So what are we taking? Drop the recommendations in the comments.
Being on Ozempic is actually insane. So I was on it for a long time. I lost a ton of weight. Then I've been on and off of it, like, cause some insurance stuff. So I've been off of it for maybe 2 months now. And what happened in that 2 months? I put on 15 pounds. Okay. And yesterday I'm like, I feel the 15 pounds that I put on. So I have some in the fridge. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get back on it. Cause I was trying to do without it, but I'm like, I can't, I have to get back on it. I took it last night at like 4 o'clock. It's about to be 4 o'clock now. And all I had today was an apple and some grapes. And I feel like I ate a 7-course meal. I feel so full. Like, I don't even think I could eat if I wanted to. And that's just actually insane concept. Like, it literally sounds cliche, but it mutes your food noise. Like, you're not thinking about food all day. You can think about other stuff. So when people hate on it, I'm like, you should try it. It's actually an insane feeling. But anyway, so yeah, I'm back on it. So if you see me looking skinny, I'm back on the juice.
I figured I would do a little video about being on tirzepatide or GLP-1 medicine because I don't see it talked about a lot with people having like really crazy like side effects or things that happen to them. So I started taking GLP-1 last, I want to say like June or July. And I started out on a 2.5 milligram, did the normal like tier level of like doing the 4 weeks at 2.5, then up to the 5, then to the 10. So I was on this until September of last year, and I ended up slowly tapering myself off. So I went from the 10 down to the 5 to the 2.5 and tapered and stopped at the end of September. Then I wasn't taking it any longer. So basically on that medicine, I felt so good compared to like what I was before that. Like, I had lost a lot of weight and like really was doing really well with it. So once I hit my goal weight, I went off of it. And then all of a sudden I started experiencing like these crazy heartburn attacks. And like, at first I just kind of like told myself like, hey, you know what, like heartburn runs in the family. Like, it's not a huge deal. So like I would take Tums, and I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, but every single time I ate, I was getting heartburn, or anytime I wasn't eating, like my stomach acid was making it that much worse. So like I was taking Tums like maybe 3-4 times a day, and I was having to get like the ultra strength ones. So this went on from the end of September that I started experiencing this until right before my birthday at the very 1st of December. And I had one heartburn attack that was so bad that I could not control it. Like, Tums was not working. And basically, I ended up having to go to the emergency room, and they told me like, hey, it was no big deal. You just have a standard case of like acid reflux, so we're gonna give you this GI cocktail that they make there to like treat heartburn, and sent me home. About an hour after that, it basically came back, so I went to the emergency room again. And this time they decided to run some more testing, and they were like, sorry, we missed this earlier. You actually have a blockage in your gallbladder, and you have a really bad infection right now. And it's like your white blood cells are like elevated, and we have to treat you for this infection, and then we have to do an emergency gallbladder removal. And I was like, okay. And the doctor was like, well, how long have you been experiencing the heartburn? I'm like, well, pretty much since September. So honestly, like the heartburn, when you stop the medicine, like that could be when your gallbladder is having like an issue. So I would definitely go and get that checked out. But honestly, so once the infection got like taken care of, they decided to admit me, like run the course of antibiotics through the IV, and got everything like taken care of, removed the gallbladder. Upon some other scans, they actually found out that I had a tumor on my kidney. Have no idea if this is related to tirzepatide, but I had to basically have open kidney surgery after that. Like they monitored it for like 4 months. I had my kidney surgery in June of this year. But I mean, these are crazy side effects that like, I mean, they talk to you about, but you never really think it's gonna like be that crazy. Especially when you think it's something just like heartburn, because like a lot of people really get heartburn, but they don't think that it could be like your gallbladder. And then if you don't treat your gallbladder, get this infection, like my eyes were turning yellow, it was affecting my liver. So yeah, just wanted to kind of give everybody like here's my story when I was on tirzepatide. Hopefully this helps some people and kind of lets them know there are some increased like warnings to kind of take into consideration. But yeah, if you get heartburn at any time, like on this medicine, just please, if it's recurring, go to your doctor and have it checked out. Like I wish I would have went and saw a doctor much sooner.
The very worst side effect that I ever had on my GLP-1 medication was dumping syndrome. Basically, you think you can have a crispy chicken sandwich from McDonald's, and 6 hours later, your stomach falls out of your butt.
Who else tried GLP-1 and literally felt like they were going to die of anxiety? Because I did. And I have to get back in the gym now.
Struggling with nausea. I had headaches every day. I hadn't slept in 4 months. My hair was falling out in clumps. But I'd lost about 3.5 stone.
The absolute worst side effect of being on a GLP-1 is 100% the sulfur burps. I have had these burps all day long. And I don't even know why. Typically, I get them whenever I eat greasy foods or I eat fried foods, but I have not eaten any of that. I have not done any of that. I've been eating very clean these last couple of days. I have taken the prebiotic, probiotic, Pepto-Bismol. I have tried some pickle juice. I have taken some Tums, and I am still just, I don't know what it feels like to go to glory, and I don't really want to know right now, but this might be close. Like the sulfur burps, they make me want to stop a GLP-1 every single time. What do y'all do about it? What are y'all doing about it? Because, oh my God, I'm so sick. Help me.
One of the biggest themes in this video is that GLP-1 medications are complicated, and I think that is where the conversation needs to start. Because online, people often talk about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, and other GLP-1 medications like they are either a miracle or a disaster. But the truth is more layered than that. Some people say these medications changed their life. They lost weight, lowered their cravings, improved their health markers, felt in control around food for the first time, and finally experienced what people call the quieting of food noise. And that part is real. For people who have struggled with insulin resistance, PCOS, prediabetes, binge eating patterns, or constant hunger signals, that relief can feel almost unbelievable. When someone says they took the medication and suddenly could think about something other than food, I understand why that feels powerful. Imagine spending years feeling controlled by cravings, appetite, emotional eating, or a body that does not seem to respond the way other people's bodies do. And then suddenly, with one medication, that noise gets turned down. But the issue is that the conversation online often stops there. It shows the weight loss. It shows the smaller clothes. It shows the compliments. It shows the I finally feel like myself moment. But it does not always show what happens when the nausea is intense, when the hair starts shedding, when someone cannot eat enough protein, when they feel weak, when they lose muscle, when they stop the medication and the appetite comes back fast, or when they start wondering whether they're in control or dependent on the medication to feel okay in their body. And that is where these stories get real. Because for every person saying, "This saved me," there's another person saying, "This made me feel sick," or "I was not prepared," or "My body has not felt the same since." Both experiences can exist at the same time.
Nobody talks about the side effects of GLP-1. So I have lost almost 20 pounds on GLP-1, and it started out initially where I was having a hard time going to the bathroom. So then I was drinking prune juice. I added Mag 07 and then Benefiber to my protein drink. I am now at this space where it is happening again. And I am sitting here like, okay, I'm drinking water. Maybe I need to drink more water. I'm exercising. And I am curious, for those of you all that are on GLP-1, how many times a day are you taking or drinking fiber or eating fiber? So like my meals have all had fiber in it, right? And I'm having like two tablespoons of Benefiber in my breakfast smoothie. But I'm starting to wonder if before bed, if I need to, in my water before bed, if I need to add Benefiber in there as well. Because I'm like, this morning I'm like, and yesterday I'm like, this doesn't normally happen because I'm a 3 times a day girl. I normally go to the bathroom 3 times a day, and I'm like, uh-oh, we're missing 2 now. What are y'all doing?
I was quickly reminded this morning what the worst part of being on a GLP-1 in the winter was. I am so cold. Now, I said this last year, and I couldn't remember if it was like because I was actively losing weight, because I was on a GLP-1, but everyone in my comments were like, yes, me too, me too, me too. And I used to not really be that like much of a cold girl. Like, yeah, like I would get cold, but it is next level. I'm down 65 pounds on a GLP-1, 100 pounds total. And so I'm wondering if like, it's just my body like reacting to being down this much weight. But guys, it's miserable. And it's only November. What am I going to do in the winter months? It's so cold. If you have any plans to fight back this cold weather, let me know. Just ordered a space heater for my office. Just ordered warm socks, like the fuzzy kind that you can wear underneath your shoes. What else do I need? We've got to stay on top of this, okay? This is only the beginning. Stay warm out there. Love y'all.
One main Mounjaro side effect that I haven't heard anybody else talking about. I'm new here, so be nice. Maybe you guys are talking about it and I just haven't caught into that wind yet. But my friends, my blood pressure. Is anybody else experiencing what feels like low blood pressure on a GLP-1 medication? I am at about 8 weeks on Mounjaro, and it doesn't happen every day. It seems to be just those first couple of days after the injection. But what I've noticed is like if I get up in the middle of the night, say if I have to get up to go to the bathroom or whatever, I get a little bit like dizzy, minor lightheadedness. But especially like the first half of the day, it feels like very low energy, especially if I take like a piping hot shower. I usually do a hot shower followed by the cold at the end. And it's an adjustment. So basically what I'm doing is increasing my electrolytes, especially the sodium intake, and just seeing how that lands. But I'm just curious if you felt this too. Let me know.
Can anyone tell me why tirzepatide is such a mindfuck? I typically take 35 units. I have no side effects with 35 units. If I taper up to like 40, 45, I am on the toilet, tired, feel like my life is going to be over for the next 3 or 4 days. And it's miserable. So I like avoid going up. It has been 3 weeks since I've taken 35. At that point, I had no side effects. Today or yesterday, I took 25 units. Okay. I feel like I'm going to die again. And I'm so frustrated because every time I get to this point, I'm like, why do I keep doing this? But then after the 3 days, it's great. But why? Why is it affecting me at 25 and 45, but not 35? It makes no sense.
Ozempic kills hunger, and that's one of the reasons it's causing people to lose weight. You need food to make hair and nails and muscles and hormones and neurotransmitters. There are 24 key nutrients that a woman needs to be able to make hormones. Everybody I've talked to on Ozempic's like, I'm just not hungry anymore.
Correct.
What's going to happen to the hormone of women? Still not the only problem. We don't know what it does to the microbiome. And the microbiome is what is making serotonin that keeps us happy. The microbiome, there's a set of bacteria in our gut called the estrobolome that break estrogen down. I want to know long term what Ozempic's going to do to the microbiome, because if we destroy our microbiome, you destroy your body and you destroy your mind. So where's the research on that? Still not the worst. The last one that I will tell you is that it's the empowerment piece. When I inject something into me and I lose weight, who do I give credit to?
Ozempic. You're codependent on Ozempic.
Story time on how Wegovy put me in the hospital. So I am currently on day 12 of Wegovy. So my first week of being on Wegovy, I didn't know what to expect. I was just going with the flow and figuring it out as things came along. But for the most part, everything was good. The second week comes, and I started experiencing total different things than I did the first week. During week 2, I started experiencing nausea, dizziness, and fatigue. On day 9, I had the worst nausea that I've ever had while being on Wegovy. Day 10 and 11, I threw up. Day 11, I literally only had cream cheese bagel for breakfast, and I was eating fruits and stuff throughout the day. And it was weird because day 11, I wasn't feeling nausea at all, so I thought everything was done and I would just move on, right? Until the night. So night 11, I take a shower as soon as I get home from work, and I go to sleep, take a little nap because I've been extremely fatigued. When I woke up from my nap, I started feeling dizzy. So honestly, I just went back to bed. Woke up a little bit later and I tried to eat something because I realized like, oh, the last thing I ate was around like 2 p.m. So I get me a yogurt and I get some water. So as I'm eating the yogurt, I start feeling nauseous and I start getting a headache. When I'm thinking, damn, maybe it's because I didn't eat all day so I continue to eat the yogurt. Like 3 spoonfuls and I just start throwing up. Throwing up and throwing up and throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. Mind you, I've only had the 3 spoonfuls of yogurt so far. So at first I was throwing up the yogurt, but then eventually it was nothing else in my stomach for me to throw up. So I started throwing up like some yellowy liquid, and it was just becoming too much. Stomach started hurting, and it was like I couldn't stop throwing up. So I went to the emergency room. And long story short, I am throwing up as a side effect for the extreme nausea, which is completely normal. But the reason why my stomach started hurting was because it was nothing inside my stomach. So guys, you guys have to eat. Please stop going long gaps without eating. Even if you don't have an appetite, you have to put something in your stomach, whether it's crackers, bread, soup, something. Because if you do throw up and there's nothing in your stomach, especially like me, where the last time I ate was 9 hours before that, you're going to be in a lot of pain.
So Ozempic is bullshit. I just got off a client call and she did Ozempic. She lost 20 pounds in 5 months. And then she told me about her kidney stones. She told me about the surgery she needed to get. She told me about her muscle loss. And that's what they don't tell you. What they also don't tell you is about the cancers in the rats that took Ozempic when they did tests. So sure, yeah, it's a trend, it's a hype. Is it worth your health long term? Is it worth your lean muscle mass? Because here's the truth. The fat on your body is a byproduct of your consistent habits. It's a byproduct of how you handle emotions and stress.
Let's talk GLP-1 side effects because I'm currently experiencing some, so it's a good time to chat. And this may be a hot take, but I really feel like the majority of people who experience side effects with GLP-1s are just not doing their due diligence and not preparing their body enough for shot day or whatever. Because I know for myself, whenever I'm dealing with these side effects, it's because I haven't had enough protein or I haven't been fueling my body or I haven't been drinking enough water and electrolytes. So when you are dealing with these side effects, instead of immediately blaming the GLP-1 saying, oh, I can't do this, just GLP-1 is terrible, I want you to look at yourself and think, okay, am I doing everything I can do to make sure that I'm responding the best to this? It is not a magic pill. You're going to have to do some prep work, okay? So think ahead and think on the day of shot day, what are you doing to prepare your body for having it? My biggest advice is to be drinking lots of water and electrolytes, to be prioritizing protein, to be moving your body, and really just trying to give yourself some grace and rest when you need it. Right now, I'm dealing with nausea, some food aversions, some extreme fatigue, and headache. So what I'm doing to make sure that I'm kind of like preparing for that is drinking more electrolytes. When I am having lots of food aversions and I'm getting nauseous, I'm making sure that I'm drinking my protein drinks. I'm prioritizing protein. Instead of just like snacking on things here and there, I'm making sure that my snacks are including protein, like some protein chips, stuff like that. Maybe some like fruit and veggie trays with some protein, like cheese or meats or whatever. I think it's just super important. If you can't eat big meals, which is pretty common on a GLP-1, if you can't eat big meals, make your snacks intentional. Make your snacks full of what you need. Snacking on a granola bar or peanut butter crackers or chips is not going to give you the fuel you need. When I'm super fatigued, I try to listen to my body. If the nutrition and the water and all the other things isn't working, then I'm going to rest. Like, I really wanted to go work out really hard yesterday. Instead, I just got some walks in and just prioritized my rest because I knew that's what my body needed. it's not forever. It's usually just the first couple days. It's not long term. So just do what your body needs in the moment and then watch as you get used to it and how the prioritizing protein, the water, the movement helps in the long term. And as always, if you are experiencing side effects that are debilitating, that are constant, that do not get better whenever you are hydrating and fueling your body, talk to your doctor. Tell your doctor, like, hey, this is not making me feel great. And they usually will have great ideas for you, whether that be a prescription nausea medication or, hey, we need to take your labs, make sure everything's going on okay, and maybe you need more fiber or add some supplements. You really never know until you ask. So be proactive, be smart, and I think it'll help. Love y'all.
Another huge theme is what happens after people stop taking the medication. A lot of these stories talk about rebound weight gain, food noise coming back, and people feeling scared that the results will disappear. And this is where the emotional side of GLP-1s is really important. Because if someone loses a lot of weight quickly, gets praised, feels better in clothes, gets treated differently, and then the appetite comes back, that can be terrifying. One person described it like something opened up in their mind and said, eat everything. And honestly, that is such a vivid way to describe what a lot of people fear. Because if the medication quieted the food noise, what happens when the medication stops and the volume comes back? That can feel like losing control. It can feel like your old body is chasing you. It can make people feel like they have to stay on the medication forever just to maintain the version of themselves everyone praised. And I think this is where the rented results conversation comes in. If the medication helps with appetite, but someone never builds the habits to support the weight loss, then stopping can feel like falling right back into the same patterns. Not because the medication failed, but because the medication was doing a lot of the work that lifestyle, support, strength training, nutrition, sleep, and emotional relationship with food also have to help carry. Now, that does not mean everyone can just walk more and eat protein and everything is solved. That would be too simple. Weight is complex. Hormones, genetics, medications, mental health, chronic illness, access to food, stress, and income all play a role. But it does mean that if people are using GLP-1s, they still need support beyond the prescription. They need education. They need follow-up. They need realistic expectations. They need to understand that the medication may lower appetite, but it does not automatically rebuild someone's entire lifestyle, mindset, or relationship with food.
In 2023, I went on Ozempic for maybe a month and got sick and stopped it. And then in 2024, in January of 2024, I was put on Ozempic again and was put on a much smaller dose. And I went on it for maybe 6 weeks. I would say total between the two times, it was like 2 to 3 months tops, maybe 2 months total between the two times I was on it. So the last dose I took was the beginning of February of 2024. And my stomach has never been the same. From January to probably June, I threw up and was nauseous constantly. I have never been pregnant, but I feel like it feels like it has to be as close to morning sickness as possible. I was nauseous all of the time. I would walk up the stairs and throw up. I threw up showering. I was so sick to my stomach. Walking up the stairs specifically was really hard on my stomach. After probably like 9 months, it kind of that was kind of the peak. And then I would say it went from like being like I have the flu 24/7 to maybe the best I feel is maybe kind of altering between day like 2 and 3 after the flu. So if you have had the flu and you have been throwing up, you're sick to your stomach, by day 3, the thought of eating anything, it's like, maybe I can try to eat that. And sometimes things are okay. Maybe sometimes it's even like day 4 after but there's always, but sometimes it's like the day after. But that's how my stomach feels all the time. I think the biggest thing is no appetite. I used to, love food, and it has made me like I have no appetite. Nothing sounds good. I go grocery shopping and I'm like trying to think of like what I can force myself to eat. Nothing ever sounds good. I never have an appetite. I am struggling to feed myself every day because I just nothing sounds good. And it's hard for me to like meal prep and to do stuff because I am single and it just like food just doesn't sound good ever. And I also have endometriosis, and so randomly I went from 0 to probably a level 6 or 7 pain in my back between my shoulder blades, which happens with my endometriosis. And then at the same time, I got a huge like wave of nausea. So I took my hair out and I'm like laying down with the fan on, trying to get it, to pass. I think the Ozempic, I think my stomach is pretty upset anyways, so then like I've always kind of been car sick, but I get so car sick. I was in the ocean the other day and the waves tossing me around, I thought I was gonna throw up because my stomach is already kind of upset anyways because of the Ozempic. I don't know, it's just so frustrating because the doctor did not tell me all the side effects, and yes, I should have researched things more, but I was put on it because I have PCOS also. And I had pre-diabetes, and I was married at the time, and I was wanting to get pregnant. We were wanting to do an IUI or IVF. And at this point, I've lost quite a bit of weight because I've been so sick, but I've now divorced. And my stomach has just never returned. And it makes me really sad because there are days that it's like, sometimes I worry that I'm never going to be able to get pregnant because if I can't even keep food down and I can't even sustain myself, like I shouldn't, it's already hard enough with morning sickness and everything else. Like I want to be able to be healthy, to be able to, get pregnant. And there's just times that it's frustrating with living with chronic, I feel like I struggle with chronic nausea and chronic pain because of my endometriosis. And sometimes it's just frustrating. Yeah, it's just frustrating, and there's nothing that you can do. And it's just like, how are they, like, what even is Ozempic?
I was on a GLP-1 for 2 months last year, and it was the worst 2 months of my life. I want to preface this by saying I know so many people who have used GLP-1s and have had great experiences with them, but that was not the case for me. I never thought that I'd be someone that would use a weight loss drug. It all happened when I went into the doctor's office and she took my weight, and it was just a regular checkup. And she said, do you want to use any weight loss drugs? Because basically by the time you hit 30, if you're at the weight you are now, you'll be considered obese. Honestly, I kind of just shook off her words because I was like, no, you're crazy. I'm not going to use a weight loss drug. But then I went and I saw a friend, and she had told me that she had been using it. She had a really good experience with it. And I genuinely saw her as someone that I bodily related to. And so I was like, oh, well, if she's on it, then I should be on it. So I decided to do it. And something that I didn't know that maybe you do or don't know is that it is literally a shot. So you do have to shoot yourself either in the arm, the thigh, or the stomach. Like expected, the first week was absolutely horrible, and they kind of tell you this going in. In fact, it's so common that you're gonna be so nauseous that they prescribe heavy nausea medicine. The first time I took it, it felt like I had gotten hit by a bus. I couldn't get out of bed. My body was sore all over. I felt like I had just ran a marathon because I literally could not move my legs without them aching severely. And not to mention that there was absolutely no way I could get any food in me. The nausea was so intense that it would wake me up while I was sleeping because I wasn't able to sleep through it. By the third day of the injection, you inject yourself every week, I could probably stomach cereal, a banana, and that's probably about it. I don't know if any of you have watched Love Thy Nader, but when Brooks Nader is in the bathtub and she is like hunched over, sitting in warm water, unable to keep anything down and just kind of throwing up, that is exactly what it's like. I was not able to get my nutrients, my fruits, my vegetables, anything in me because I couldn't keep it down and I didn't want to eat it. And it completely changed my life. I had to cancel tons of work events, hostings, time with friends. I hope this helps anyone who might be thinking about going into GLP-1s. As a woman who's always been bigger, I understand the innate want to be skinnier. But I also realized that my body, my health, my happiness, my friendships were not worth it for that price.
So you're curious if I've had any side effects from being on GLP-1 medications for about 2 years now. So let's talk about it. So the answer would be yes and no, but I guess it depends on what you're referring to as side effect, because I feel like there are positive side effects and negative side effects. So let's start out with the negative side effects first. In my case, I say the only negative side effect from being on GLP-1 medications for the past 2 years is muscle loss. I'm going to 100% take responsibility for that. Didn't do any weight training, any heavy working out or anything like like that throughout my entire journey. The most I did in the beginning was walking, and that really helped jumpstart my weight loss. Other than that, I didn't incorporate much. So now I'm starting to incorporate things like Pilates. I'm about to start running, and eventually I do want to start weight training. Can't tell you exactly how much muscle I've lost. Maybe I should do that and do a video on it. But I know I've had some muscle loss, so that would be my negative side effect. Again, 100% my fault. Positive side effects from being on these medications for almost 2 years, there's literally so many. One, my skin is drastically different. I'll try to insert a picture up here where you can see my seborrheic dermatitis was just absolutely out of control. In the beginning of taking these medications, I did break out a lot, but that calmed down eventually after being on it a little longer. So skin improvement, my PCOS has improved drastically. Insulin resistance has improved drastically. I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I no longer have high cholesterol. I have a better relationship with food. I don't overeat. So I feel like, are there side effects from being on this medication for 2 years? Absolutely. 100 more pros than there are cons for sure.
The way that it is being used now, we are going to accelerate people's aging that we have never seen before. We are coming up to a new epidemic. I believe that with the increase in use of GLP-1s and those multiple different generations, we are going to be able to starve ourselves like we've never been able to do. We've never seen something more effective and never seen something used more. So what does that mean for you? That means the things that we thought about as a disease of aging. When you're 7 years old, you're going to have lost X amount of muscle mass. That acceleration in 10 to 20 weeks, we are going to be able to accelerate aging by 20 years. We are entering an entirely new landscape.
What do you think about Ozempic?
It's a type 2 diabetic drug. It's not meant for weight loss. It was cleared by the FDA for type 2 diabetes, not for weight loss. Now, it's very appealing to so many people. Why? Because it's convenient. All I could do is one shot in my ass once a week, and here we go. I'm going to start to lose weight. But the problem is that you got to be on that for the rest of your life to sustain the weight loss. The challenge is, number one, it's extremely toxic. It causes paralysis of the stomach. It delays the actual digesting of your food. It causes loose stools, diarrhea. I've had clients come to me on that. It's a very toxic drug. So now your body's got to deal with the toxic effects of that. My whole approach is, let's get to the root cause of why we gain weight in the first place. It's insulin resistance. It's a stress eating diet, too much sugar, too many crappy carbs, inflammation. So we have to really get the right foods into the body. We have to detoxify, get the right supplements, move our body, start to get some exercise. And what happens is the body's going to lose the weight on its own and do it in a way that's healthy, sustainable. That's what it should be about.
Ozempic should not be allowed for weight loss. Mark my words. Put them in a time capsule and open it in 15 years. Ozempic has a remarkable weight loss. But what they didn't focus on is that when these people are losing weight, they are losing muscle mass at a way higher rate than they should. As you play this forward, especially in elder patients, when you lose that much muscle mass, you cannot gain it back without extreme measures. The chemistry behind how they're losing that weight is really a starvation weight loss. This is the kind of weight loss that will decrease their immune system, decrease their bone density, decrease their muscle mass, and decrease their longevity.
I really need someone to come on here right now and tell me that Ozempic ruined their life, because the way it's getting to my head, literally everyone I know is on Ozempic. Every single one of my friends, I'm like, damn, you look really good. Like, you lost a lot of weight. What's your workout routine? What's your food routine? No, it's Ozempic or Mounjaro. What? Guys, I have never felt fat in my life, but seeing all of these girls on Ozempic is ruining my body image. And I know it shouldn't be like that. Like, I shouldn't be comparing myself. It's making me really upset when I'm like spending so much time at Pilates and these girls are losing weight overnight. Like, okay. Yeah, I need someone right now to tell me that it's not it. Like, it's not it. Cause I'm not gonna lie, there's no part of me that wants to do it. I just want to be toned. I want to be toned. I just want skinny arms, honestly, but it's crazy out here.
Why are we shocked that thin people are taking Ozempic? I just saw a TikTok come up on my For You page of this influencer who's already very thin talking about how she's taking Ozempic. And the comments, people are so shocked, so blown away by the fact that someone who does not need to be taking Ozempic for weight loss is taking Ozempic. Guys, influencers and celebrities been taking Ozempic before it was legalized to be used as a weight loss drug. They've been taking it. If you have money, you can get your hands on Ozempic. Stop being so surprised that celebrities and influencers are getting their very thin bodies from Ozempic. This is not new. This is not a new thing. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. That's the reality of the situation.
Then there are the side effects. And this is where a lot of people feel like the online conversation is not honest enough. Some people talk about nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, sulfur burps, acid reflux, fatigue, dizziness, feeling freezing cold, low energy, headaches, food aversions, hair loss, and feeling unable to eat. And again, some people have mild side effects and adjust. But for others, the side effects can become disruptive to daily life. The hair loss stories are especially emotional because people might be happy about losing weight, but devastated when their hair starts coming out in clumps. And that is not vanity. Hair can be tied to identity, confidence, femininity, health, and feeling like yourself. So when someone loses 120 pounds in a year and then starts losing hair, that is a reminder that rapid weight loss can affect the body in ways people may not expect. The digestive stories are also intense. People talk about heartburn that turned into something more serious, gallbladder problems, stomach pain, nonstop vomiting, and feeling like they had to go to the emergency room. And I want to be careful here because not every story proves the medication caused every issue. Sometimes people have underlying conditions. Sometimes rapid weight loss itself can come with risks. Sometimes other health factors are involved. But the point is that if someone is having recurring symptoms, they should not just ignore it and assume it is normal. Feeling sick every day is not something to brush off because a trend told you the results are worth it. And that is one of the most important takeaways from these clips. If someone is on a GLP-1 and the side effects feel severe, constant, scary, or unusual, they need to talk to a qualified medical professional, not TikTok, not comments, not random internet advice. A doctor who can look at their labs, history, symptoms, dosage, and overall health.
If you are planning on staying on a GLP-1 based medication forever and always, long term, here's something that you just need to think about. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Brianne Callanan. I'm a naturopathic and functional medicine doctor, and I help individuals get to the root cause of their resistant weight loss. GLP-1 based medications don't just impact your appetite. They act on the brain's reward signaling, especially the pathways that are involved in dopamine. So not only do individuals see less food noise, but they also see things like, hey, I'm not craving alcohol anymore. I'm not seeking those highly palatable foods. I'm not going out and reaching for some of those addictive tendencies and behaviors that I used to have. And that is fantastic. But what I am seeing clinically is some individuals, once they reach their goal, if they stay on that maintenance dose or they're on a really high maintenance dose, they start to report to me, and this is just what I'm experiencing, low motivation, almost less excitement and drive, reduced interest in even things like getting out of the house and socializing. I think individuals would almost, if I had to sum it up, describe it as almost like a flatness. Nothing's bad, but also it's not that same joy, if that makes sense. What you want to consider is, how can you get on the minimum effective dose of the medication to sustain your weight loss long term? And that's where a lot of individuals are coming back to the reset program where they say, okay, I really need to dial in my nutrition. Granted, you should do the nutrition before starting on the GLP-1, of course, or while starting on the GLP-1, but many individuals are looking back to say, okay, how can I really dial in my nutrition now so I can get on the lowest dose of the medication? Another thing that I find helpful in some patients is to cycle the GLP-1s, where they're going longer between their dosages, as well as taking temporary breaks to allow the brain to have more of that dopamine response short term. And also, I find this prevents weight gain long term, and it provides a personalized approach. This is not medical advice, of course. You want to support your body through nutrition, support your hormones, support your lifestyle, and always talk to your practitioner about adjusting your dose so it's personalized, as well as even inquire whether or not the cyclical dosing could be right for you.
Ozempic has officially stopped being the magic pill and is now shredding bones. So this is one of those cases where the headline does not tell the full story, but don't worry, that's what I'm here for. These articles are claiming that Ozempic is causing a 30% increase in osteoporosis, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically your bones degrading and weakening over time. Osteoporosis is extremely common in people who stop working out. They end up losing all of their muscle mass, and in turn, they lose their bone density. And despite what a lot of people think, those that are overweight actually have a decent amount of muscle mass, and that is because they are doing a sort of form of resistance training all throughout the day. They physically have to carry more weight. So, their legs are stronger, their glutes, their quads, and even part of their upper body. So if you lose all of this weight with Ozempic and you're not supplementing it with weightlifting, your body no longer has that resistance. So your muscles, they go on vacation. Your bones, they kind of degrade. And that is the real reason why the risk of osteoporosis goes up. It's not the Ozempic itself, it's from the rapid weight loss. Putting all of the blame on the drug is completely unfair in my opinion, and I still think it's a net positive because we know the effects of being overweight. It is one of the #1 killers in America. So if you're on Ozempic or you thought about it and are worried now because you've seen all these scary headlines, don't be. If you start taking it, just make sure you keep up with your weightlifting and resistance training, and also make sure you hit your protein goal. If you combine these two things, you should be perfectly fine and you shouldn't have an increased risk of osteoporosis.
Get ready with me as I talk about the top GI side effects associated with GLP-1 medications and how to fight them. Okay, this is a topic I'm super passionate about because different studies show that anywhere between 20 to 66% of people have to stop these medications, not because of insurance costs, but because of GI side effects. And what's the point of having an amazing medication if you feel terribly? And about 99.9% of people in my practice have been able to stay on these meds. So I wanted to tell you about what we do differently and the protocol that I've perfected. First up is diarrhea. This is not, I would say, the most common in terms of frequency, but it's something that will intermittently happen to people. And it's never pleasant, so who wants to have it intermittently happen to you? The first thing to do is actually to add fiber. Fiber we think of often for constipation, and we'll talk about that in a second, but fiber can also help us add bulk to stool so that we don't have runny stool. And the next thing you're gonna do is you're really gonna pay attention to your diet. Most people find that they have diarrhea. God, I'm a doctor, I should be able to say that word. Most people find that they have diarrhea when they have high carbohydrate or high sugar meals. So I really want you to focus on your proteins. And finally, in cases of emergency, you can often take an over-the-counter medication like Imodium to help kind of stop the diarrhea in its tracks. This is especially helpful for travel. Next up is constipation, so the flip. And actually the solution is often the same, which is add in fiber. Now, people who are on GLP-1s, their appetites go down and they have to be careful about what they're eating, and often fiber is one of the first things to go. So it's really important from the get-go to add in a fiber supplement. It's often a low bulk, easy way for your body to get the benefits. And then over time, as you get adjusted to the medications, you can add back in more fruits and vegetables for fiber. The other thing you're going to want to do is increase your water and make sure you're staying hydrated in the right way. So adding in some electrolytes to the mix really helps us get the water into the right parts of our body. And all of this will help decrease constipation. In very kind of rare situations, we sometimes need something stronger like a stool softener or Miralax or even a prescription medication. Okay, and finally, nausea. So this is a big one. Nausea is something that can affect you. I describe it like a wave on these medications. And generally speaking, the thing we need to do is make sure we don't undereat and overeat. And one of the ways when you really don't feel like you have an appetite but need something in your stomach and you're feeling waves of nausea is actually to turn to salt. So if you've ever been pregnant and had morning sickness, you'll know that often you reach for saltine, something salty. And it's actually the brain's way of talking to the kidneys and getting the right amount of water into your body, and it actually will help us fight off nausea. So I often recommend starting the day with bone broth or an electrolyte drink. Even if you don't feel like eating, getting something in first. Another trick is to focus on B vitamins. So B complex will help us fight nausea. Many of my patients are on this and it really will help them. It's something you have to take preventatively, so it's a daily supplement. And finally, with nausea, if it really is bad, or if you've gone up on the dose titration and the new dose is affecting you, you can also talk to your doctor about prescribing something like Zofran. You cannot get this over the counter, it requires a prescription. These are just a few of the techniques I use to help my patients feel good and achieve sustainable and long-term weight loss without being bogged down by the GI side effect. One last tip, if you're feeling these side effects and you're losing weight and you feel like the side effects are better than the weight loss, talk to your doctor, go down on the medication. Not everyone needs to go up with every month, and not everyone needs to go up to the highest dose. Some people see benefit with lesser side effects at lower doses. Hope this helps.
Biggest issue I have with GLP-1s that no one is talking about. I have not seen one video on this, not one person talking about this. I hate the way these drugs are being marketed. I hate that people genuinely believe now that you couldn't possibly lose weight on your own without this medication, because 80% of people who diet gain all the weight back. You couldn't possibly reverse your pre-diabetes on your own. You need this thing outside of yourself. You couldn't possibly lose weight with PCOS without it. You need this medication. You couldn't possibly reverse type 2 diabetes on your own. You need this thing outside of yourself. And I want to be very clear and how I'm communicating this. I am not demonizing or stigmatizing these drugs. There is a time and a place. They may be appropriate for certain people. I have people in my community on GLP-1s. I am not shaming them. I have clients that I work with as a nutritional therapist that helps people with their nutrition. I have clients that are on these medications. I have friends that are on these medications. I am not trying to demonize or stigmatize them. I have a major issue with how they are being marketed. The messaging around them is so disempowering. You couldn't possibly, you have a chronic illness and you're chronically inflamed. You couldn't possibly lower that inflammation on your own. You need this thing outside of yourself to heal. It's the same thing in the wellness space. If we're going to call out pharma, let's also call out wellness. Got to call out both. Wellness over here says you need to take this supplement, and if you don't, you will not heal. You need this vibration plate, which I know some people really love the vibration plate, not hating, but you need it. You need it. Otherwise, you will not heal. You need this $800 red light, and if you don't buy it, you won't heal. You need a $7,000 infrared sauna, or you will not heal. It's the same thing on that side of the fence too. It's the same thing. And I'll call it out on both sides. We are being led to believe that you couldn't possibly heal yourself unless you buy this thing, take this supplement, take this peptide. You couldn't possibly heal unless you do this thing that's outside of yourself. When I believe we are incredibly powerful human beings. I believe we have more power than we've ever been led to believe to influence our health positively. I believe we have everything we need within us. Even just look at fasting, right? Actually, I was very against fasting for many years until I started researching, because so many people were like, what are your thoughts on GLP-1s? What are your thoughts on NAD+? What are your thoughts on peptides? As I was researching this, I'm like, oh, want to know how you can actually create your own GLP-1 and your own NAD+ fasting, which is free, and you don't need to buy something, and how convenient that we say, oh, women shouldn't fast because it'll screw with your hormones, and don't do that because it's too stressful. When you have everything you need within you, why do you not see people saying that? Because there's no money in it. I don't make a penny getting online telling you, hey, going on walks actually will improve your insulin sensitivity. Lifting weights does improve your insulin sensitivity. Going out in nature, getting light, that helps improve your insulin sensitivity. Fasting, free, right? Very convenient. We are talking about these things, but there's no money in it. This doesn't go viral on social media. You have what you need within you. You are a powerful, powerful being. You have the power to influence your health positively. I'm not demonizing or stigmatizing these medications. I have a massive, massive issue with you couldn't possibly lose weight on your own. You have to take it. You couldn't possibly do it on your own. You couldn't possibly. Maybe the reason 80% of people who diet gain all the weight back, maybe it's because they never work with a nutrition professional. Or maybe it's the fact that people go on these extreme diets. They do carnivore for a month. It's so incredibly strict. So the pendulum eventually does swing to the side, and then you binge. Maybe because we are so nutritionally illiterate as a collective, we think that, and I used to be very nutritionally illiterate. I thought, oh, if I just cut out gluten and dairy, that'll heal all my problems. I never learned how to eat. That's why I share free information on this page every single day, because I think it's a human right to know how to feed yourself. You have more power than you ever could believe. But there's no money in me saying that.
Send these to your many friends who are using GLP-1s because the lawsuits are just piling up. Currently, there are about 3,000 of these lawsuits against GLP-1 makers, and a judge already said most of these can move forward. Here's what people are suing over, allegedly what companies did not warn you about. 1. Stomach paralysis, called gastroparesis. Your stomach literally stops moving, talking nonstop vomiting, pain, hospitalization. 2. Bowel blockages. Your intestines can just stop working and people need surgery immediately. 3. Vision loss. Studies found that users have a 7 times higher risk of a stroke of the optic nerve. Some people are going blind. 4. Pancreatitis, severe, life-threatening inflammation of the pancreas. 5. Gallbladder disease, problem severe enough to require surgery. 6. Acute kidney damage that's showing up in research. 7. Muscle loss. A study in the Lancet found that users lose significantly more muscle mass than people who just cut calories. Nearly 500 deaths have been linked to these drugs and reported to the FDA, so talk to your doctor and know of these risks. I will keep you updated on any settlements.
Another part of this conversation is muscle loss, bone density, and the fear of losing more than just fat. A few people bring up the concern that when weight comes off quickly, people may not only be losing fat, they may also lose muscle. And that matters because muscle is not just about looking toned. Muscle helps with strength, metabolism, aging, posture, mobility, and overall health. This is where the skinny at any cost mindset becomes dangerous. Because if someone is losing weight, but also barely eating, not getting enough protein, not strength training, not supporting their body, and feeling weak, then the scale may be going down while their health is not necessarily being protected. And that is the part people need to think about. Weight loss is not automatically the same thing as health. A smaller body is not automatically a stronger body. A lower number on the scale is not always the full picture. There is also a bigger cultural issue happening here. A lot of people are watching friends, influencers, celebrities, coworkers, and random people online suddenly get smaller very quickly. And even people who never felt insecure before are starting to compare themselves. One woman said she never felt fat in her life, but seeing everyone around her on Ozempic started messing with her body image. That is such an honest point. Because beauty standards do not just affect people who are actively trying to lose weight. They affect everyone watching the standard shift in real time. And now we are in this strange moment where being thin is becoming hyper-normalized again, but with a medical tool attached to it. People are trying to figure out what is health, what is vanity, what is treatment, what is pressure, what is informed choice, and what is just another version of diet culture wearing a lab coat. And honestly, that is why this topic feels so tense. Because some people genuinely need these medications. Some people benefit from them, but the social pressure around them is starting to affect people who may not have been thinking about weight loss drugs at all. So when you put all of these stories together, the bigger conversation is not Ozempic is good or Ozempic is bad. The bigger conversation is about how quickly GLP-1 medications have changed the way people think about weight, hunger, willpower, beauty, health, and control. Because for some people, these medications are not just a beauty trend. They are medical treatment. They are helping people manage blood sugar, PCOS symptoms, insulin resistance, appetite, food noise, and long-term health concerns. And those experiences deserve to be respected. It is not fair to shame people for using something that may genuinely improve their health and quality of life. But it is also not fair to act like the only story is the success story. Because the side effect stories matter too. The people who felt sick matter. The people who lost hair matter. The people who ended up in the emergency room matter. The people who stopped and regained weight matter. The people who felt mentally dependent on the medication to maintain their body matter. The people who felt pressured to start because everyone around them was shrinking matter too. And I think the most important word here is informed. People deserve informed choices, not fear-based choices, not trend-based choices, not shame-based choices, not choices made because everyone on their timeline suddenly looks smaller. Informed choices. That means understanding the benefits, the risks, the side effects, the long-term plan, the cost, the maintenance, the nutrition piece, the strength training piece, and what happens if you ever stop taking it. Because one of the biggest questions people keep asking is, what is the plan after the weight loss? Are people staying on these medications long-term? Are they tapering down? Are they working with doctors? Are they building habits? Are they protecting muscle? Are they eating enough protein? Are they strength training? Are they monitoring labs? Are they watching their mental health? Are they learning how to live in their new body without fear of gaining the weight back? That is the part social media does not always show. It shows the transformation, but not always the maintenance. It shows the smaller jeans, but not always the constipation. It shows the face gains, but not always the fatigue. It shows the compliments, but not always the hair loss. It shows the appetite suppression, but not always the fear of eating normally again. It shows that I lost 50 pounds, but not always the question of whether the person feels strong, nourished, and mentally okay. And that is why the marketing around these medications can feel so complicated. On one side, people are tired of being told weight loss is just about willpower when many bodies are dealing with real metabolic issues. On the other side, people are also tired of being told they need something outside of themselves to fix everything. And maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Medication can be a tool, but a tool is not the whole house. Health still needs nourishment, movement, sleep, support, medical supervision, mental health, and a relationship with food that does not make someone feel like they are constantly at war with themselves. I also think we need to be honest about how this trend is affecting body image, because when everyone starts losing weight quickly, it shifts what looks normal. And suddenly people who are fine with their bodies start wondering if they should be smaller too. That is the part that feels like diet culture creeping back in through the side door. People say it is about health, and for many people it is. But online, it can quickly become about thinness, comparison, and feeling like you are falling behind because you are losing weight the slow way. So maybe the healthiest conversation around Ozempic and GLP-1 medications is not to shame people who use them and not to glamorize them like they are harmless magic. It is to say, take them seriously. Talk to a qualified medical professional. Do not ignore side effects. Eat enough. Prioritize protein. Strength train if you are able. Monitor your labs. Ask questions. Understand your long-term plan. And do not let social media pressure you into a medical decision your body may not be ready for. Because at the end of the day, losing weight should not mean losing your health, your hair, your strength, your joy, or your peace. And if a medication helps you, that is valid. But if it hurts you, that is valid too. Nobody should be shamed for needing help, and nobody should be silenced for saying their experience was difficult. So I want to know what you think. Are GLP-1 medications being talked about honestly enough online? Do you think people understand the side effects, the rebound weight gain, and the long-term maintenance? And if you've taken Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or any GLP-1, did it help you feel more in control? Or did it come with side effects you were not prepared for?